January 25, 2025, Nguyen Xuandat 36 from Hung Yen posted his final Facebook status. Only 3 more hours until it's done. Then he vanished. 10 months later, a video surfaced on the dark corners of the internet. A naked man lying masturbating on the floor of a government office, masturbate to orgasm then beheaded. This is not murder. It comes from Dat's sexual orientation preferences. His body was dissected, his genitals are cooked in a pot on a gas stove, and eaten, right there. The butcher, a state official, Don Van Sang, Deputy Chief of Market Control Team, Nung 4, Lang Son Province. The location, his own office. No one believed real until the leaked 88-page dossier spread like wildfire. This is not a horror movie. This is the Vietnamese butcher case. The most depraved murder in Vietnam this decade, and the killer was arrested only days after internet detectives forced the police to act. Deviant formation. After grasping the horrifying surface of the Nguyen Xuandat case, we cannot stop there. We must dig deeper into the men at its center, how an ordinary boy from a small village in Hung Yen gradually lost every survival instinct a human being is born with, and how a long-serving state official in Lang Son turned into a cold-blooded butcher. By examining their family backgrounds, childhood cracks, and the silent psychological decay that no one noticed in time, we begin to understand why one man could willingly walk into his own execution, and why another could raise a cleaver against a fellow human being, and then cook parts of him on a gas stove. This is not just a crime story, it is a warning. The disease that destroys both victim and killer often starts as harmless late-night chats, dark curiosity on forbidden forums, loneliness disguised as independence, and the slow erosion of the basic fear of death. If we truly want to protect ourselves and the people we love, we have to learn to recognize those seeds while they are still invisible, before they grow into the kind of nightmare that happened on January 20, 2025. One of the most horrifying murder cases in Vietnam in 2025 took place in Lang Son Province, shocking the public with its brutality and the circulation of gruesome footage on the dark web. Far from an ordinary homicide, the case involves extreme psychological deviance, the commercialization of violence through snuff films. Victim Nguyen Xuandat, born 1989, resident of Ho Trung Tu Hamlet, Tien Hung Commune, Van Lam District, Hung Yen Province. He went missing around 2015 shortly after his father's death and had no further contact with his family. His identity was definitively confirmed through DNA analysis of remaining biological evidence and personal data extracted from the crime video. Suspect Don Van Sang, born 1968, resident of Nung Yen Phi Can Street, Tam Than Ward, Lang Son City. A retired civil servant who previously served as deputy head of Mobile Market Control Team, No. 4 under the Lang Son Province Market Department, retired before 2025. He has a distinctive 13-9 tattoo, possibly a birth date or personal marker, and maintained a Facebook account that frequently posted Buddhist-related content, projecting the image of a devout follower. Date of the crime: January 25, 2025, at the abandoned former headquarters of Market Control Team No. 4 in Hu Lung District, Lang Son Province, when a video titled "Vietnamese Butcher" began circulating on Telegram and dark web forums starting July 26, 2025. By late November 2025, an 88-page open-source intelligence OCNT dossier compiled by amateur investigators spread rapidly across Reddit, Prive and Vietnamese social media, forcing authorities to open an official investigation. Preliminary motive: a deeply perverse relationship rooted in extreme psychological disorders. The victim reportedly suffered from autoscinophilia, sexual arousal derived from the fantasy of being murdered, while the suspect exhibited sadistic and controlling tendencies. There is also strong evidence of commercial intent. The video was produced and sold on the dark web as a high-value snuff film. Current status: as of December 8, 2025, Don Van Sang was formally charged and placed in pre-trial detention on November 29, 2025. Decision approved the same day by the Lang Son Provincial People's Procuracy. The investigation has been expanded to identify possible accomplices and dismantle the network responsible for distributing the video. From around 2020, Nguyen Xuandat and Don Van Sang met through online platforms. Their relationship quickly evolved into something abnormal and dangerous. Chat logs reveal that Dat repeatedly expressed a desire to be decapitated as part of an extreme sexual fantasy. Sang, exploiting this vulnerability, agreed to fulfill the request while secretly planning to record everything. On January 25, 2025, Sang lured Dat to the deserted former office of his old unit. There, he beheaded the victim, dismembered the body, engaged in acts of cannibalism, and filmed the entire process with professional-grade equipment. The resulting video, titled Vietnamese Butcher, was not immediately released, but kept for sale on dark web marketplaces catering to consumers of real death content. For nearly 6 months the crime remained unknown to authorities. Only on July 26, 2025 did the video surface in closed extremist groups, rapidly gaining thousands of views worldwide. By late November, the 88-page OSNT report containing timeline analysis, DNA evidence from hair and blood at the scene, chat logs, and metadata went viral, triggering nationwide outrage under hashtags such as Favalangson and Fake.Madao. Police in multiple provinces issued urgent warnings against searching for or sharing the material, while simultaneously verifying the leaked evidence. History of the case. When evidence of the chat was leaked, Vietnamese cyber detectives were able to track Dat's activities on social networks before the incident happened. The two first connected in 2020 on Facebook and in private Telegram channels dedicated to suicide ideation, extreme sexual violence, and consensual fatal fantasies. Dat had already been drifting through those spaces for months, posting cryptic statuses about wanting it all to end, describing the sensation of concrete wall collapsing inward, war, and openly asking strangers if anyone would help him disappear forever. His accounts were littered with references to decapitation, slow dismemberment, and the erotic thrill of being reduced to meat. 2020 Initial contact Nguyen Xuan Dat joined several closed Facebook and Telegram groups focused on self-harm, extreme sexual violence, and cannibalism. In August 2020 he connected with Don Van Sang through Facebook. Within weeks, their private conversations turned explicitly to fantasies involving decapitation and being killed. 2021 to 2024, escalation and physical meetings. From 2021, Dat traveled from Hung Yen to Lang Son at least 11 times to meet Sang in person, trips confirmed by recovered location data and deleted photos. Sang provided financial support and gifts. In return, Dat sent increasingly extreme material, including videos of himself positioning his neck on a chopping block. In 2023, 3 rehearsal videos were recorded showing Dat on the block, while Sang stood behind him holding a mock axe and counting down. Metadata and physical markers. Birthmark. Watch match Dat's earlier personal photos exactly. Psychological profiles. Nguyen Xuan Dat, long-term severe depression since 2015, exhibited autosassinophilia, sexual arousal tied to the fantasy of being murdered, decapitated. An extremely rare disorder with fewer than 10 documented cases worldwide. Don Van Sang's sadistic personality, with strong need for total control over life and death, showed clear predatory and antisocial traits. Evolution into a planned act. By mid-2024, the arrangement was treated as a mutual, assisted suicide agreement. Dat believed Sang would help him die according to his fantasy. Seo-Eun-ji intended to film the act for commercial distribution. The date 25th of January 2025 was chosen and confirmed months in advance. Key digital evidence. 4.7 GB of recovered chat logs. A 2020-2025 login IPs linking Sang to the abandoned headquarters. Clear footage of Sang's distinctive 13:9 tattoo and 48-point facial recognition match 2023 rehearsal videos with identical timestamps to recovered cloud backups. In summary, a 5-year online relationship rooted in extreme paraphilias gradually turned into a premeditated, filmed execution on the 25th January 2025. After nearly 5 years of cultivating their deviant relationship, Don Van Sang and Nguyen Xuan Dat finalized the execution date as early as April 2024. They chose 25th of January 2025, the 10th day lunar month, year of the snake, a date Dat considered auspicious for departure. In the final 3 months of 2024, their messaging frequency spiked to 40 to 60 exchanges per day, almost entirely focused on logistics tools and the precise sequence of events. Sang repurposed the abandoned headquarters of former Market Control Team No. 4 in rural Hulung district, an isolated single-story building surrounded by rice fields, with no nearby residents and a padlocked gate to which he still held the key. From November 2024 onward, he made multiple solo trips to the site, bringing in the following items: a cutting board made of hardwood, a cleaver, a white plastic sheet to catch blood, 3 cameras to record the sexual intercourse between 2 people, and then commit the crime. On the evening of 24 January 2025, Sang made an 18-minute 42-second phone call to Dat, using the pretext of last private meeting before I fully retire. Dat agreed. When everything was ready and Dat had arrived, everything was set up. Sang turned on the camera to record the extremely scary scene of Dat's head being separated from his neck, haunting viewers to the point of insomnia. Sang then dismembered Dat's body and cooked Dat's genitals to eat them. The whereabouts of the other parts of Sang are currently unknown. Sang then dismembered Dat's body and cooked Dat's genitals to eat them. The videos of Dat's body parts being dismembered were horrifying, a scene I had never heard or seen before. The videos were sold on obscure internet groups for $500 and were suddenly shared widely around July. But the police had not yet taken action until the 88-page file leaked worldwide. The police decided to prosecute the case and verify that was not created by AI. The investigation began after 2 days and arrested Mr. Don Van Sang in Lang Son province, specifically where he lived and committed the crime in Tam Than Ward, Lang Son City, No 195 Nguyen Phi Kine Street. After Don Van Sang was arrested and confessed, documents from the Vietnamese OCNTN Cyber Investigation Group, which has now grown to over 20,000 members, combined with officials of the Ministry of Public Security, have shed light on many darker aspects of the case. Below are additional details focusing on the disposal methods, initial traces, and the legal issues that remain highly controversial. This information is drawn from the original 88-page document and updated to 106 pages with bilingual English-Vietnamese versions that went viral from late November 2025, as well as the official announcements from El Buexin Provincial Police on December 3, 2025. After murdering Nguyen Xuan Dat on the Ori 25, 2025 approximately 17:30 which coincided with the first day of Lunar New Year when the Office of Mobile Market Surveillance Team No. 4 was completely deserted, Sang did not panic. Instead, he proceeded in a calm, systematic manner, almost like a craftsman concealing a crime. According to his initial confession, publicly released by the Ministry of Public Security on December 3, 2025, he did the following: erasing digital footprints and cleaning the crime scene electronic devices. Sang used Dat's phone an Oppo Reno 12 5GR to continue sending messages from the victim's accounts, including taunting messages such as, "Dat has been beheaded," to friends on forums like Motherless and groups such as Likes Beheading. He deleted chat histories and reset passwords for linked email accounts. OSNT investigators later discovered that 2 of Sang's own email addresses were accessed from the same device during password reset attempts. Sang's eldest sister later admitted that he gave her Dat's phone in February 2025 as a Lunar New Year gift for her to use. Crime scene cleanup. He thoroughly scrubbed the execution room, the Team 4 bathroom, with Chinese liquid soap. The golden bottle type visible in the video titled, "The Butchering." He used an electric heater, seized during the search of his home, to keep the room warm and prevent blood from coagulating due to cold. The kitchen area was meticulously cleaned, leaving only a few tiny fragments that investigators later recovered. After decapitating and dismembering the victim, using 2 heavy cleavers, Sang boiled the flesh portions in a large pot to slow decomposition and prevent odor. According to his confession, bones were smashed into fragments with a hammer, an official tool used for inspecting goods at the agency. A small amounts, approximately 2 kgs of flesh, was fed to stray dogs near the office. The remainder was divided into roughly 10 black plastic bags, each containing 2 to 3 kg. Suspected disposal locations, not 100% confirmed, but both OCT researchers and investigators strongly suspect rural areas of Hu, Lang Son province, where Sang had previously arranged to meet potential victims. According to the whistleblower, the bags were allegedly dumped into public trash bins along National Highway 1A, close to the Chinese border. On January 27, 2025, the 3rd day of Lunar New Year, Sang discarded the 2 cleavers into a hand-pulled garbage cart by the roadside. They have not been recovered. Current search efforts. Since December 4, 2025, investigators have deployed sewage vacuum trucks and cadaver dogs to sweep the Hulong area. But only tiny fragments have been found: Del's bone pieces in the kitchen septic tank and 3 teeth beneath the sink. The majority of the remains have likely decomposed completely or been consumed by animals, sparking intense legal debate over whether the victim's body can be sufficiently identified for trial purposes. Remarkably, Sang returned to work as usual afterward and even joined the very OCNT group on Facebook that was investigating the case in order to monitor progress. He repeatedly posted laughing emojis whenever members complained that the investigation was at a dead end. This overconfidence in his disposal methods ultimately became the arrogance that exposed him. Video distribution from dark web to Telegram with international network. Price and sales channel, not a pure commercial snuff film, as Vasily defined seconds since Sang's main motivation was personal lust. But the collection's 11 videos and 98 photos has been widely sold since February 2025 on the dark web, priced at approximately $500 for the full package, according to chat leaks from OCNT. The sellers mainly speak Chinese. Via encrypted Telegram channels, the group, East Love, specializes in necrophilia, or forensic, for clean bodies. Basic access is only 100. Full access requires verification via crypto wallet. Spread official video leak from July 26, 2025 on the dark web, causing global panics. Millions of views. Many users reported PTSD. Previously, it was circulated internally on Baidu Tiba China in February 2025. OSINT suspect Sang is not the direct seller, possibly sharing with an East Asian partner. So organ trafficking gore footage network. A leaked message from a Chinese seller, price 89 yuan to join a regular group, 198 yuan for a large group. Group stable for 4 to 5 years, tens of thousands of users. Execution, dismemberment, necrophilia. Investigation is expanding across the border, but no arrests have been made yet. At around 2:00 a.m. on July 26, 2025's Vietnam timed, 3 short clips titled, The Execution, The Butchering, The Rehearsal, were suddenly uploaded to the shock site Watch Peopled WPD by an anonymous account. The footage was disturbingly high quality, professional lighting, multiple camera angles, crisp audio, and an overall production level that even the most desensitized gore veterans on the site lose their minds. Comments flooded in within minutes. This isn't fake. This is 100% real. I've seen everything and I'm gonna be sick. I can't unsee this. In just a few hours, the videos racked up millions of views, thousands of panicked reactions, and countless "I wish I never clicked" posts. The hashtag for Vietnamese butcher exploded across X, Twitter, Reddit, r/truecrime, r/makeofmycoffin, r/Vietnam, TikTok, and private Telegram channels. Almost a month later, on August 22, 2025, Vice became the first major English-language outlet to cover the story, with the headline, "A Vietnamese Murder Has Given the World Its First Nuff Movie," instantly turning it into a global nightmare. As soon as the clips began circulating, heavily cropped and blurred versions, of course, the Vietnamese internet sprang into action. On August 8, 2025, the Facebook group, OSIMT and Cyber Investigation Vietnam, was created with one single goal: identify the victim and the killer. Within days, members tracked down an old, almost dead Facebook profile belonging to Nguyen Xuan Dat. The page still had a clear 2023 picture and, most crucially, a final status posted on January 25, 2025 that reads simply, 3 hours left until the execution. From there, the group cross-referenced dozens of accounts using variations of the username, Dat Beheading, on motherless, Vietnamese gay forums, and Clike's Beheading groups. Every single one of those accounts went completely silent on the exact same date, January 27, 2025, the day Dat vanished. One member obtained an old phone number Dat had once posted on a gay forum, traced it to a Zalo account, and from there located household registry records in Tay Binh and Hung Yen provinces. Dat had apparently changed his registered address after moving to Hanoi. A mutual contact who went by the alias Phi Li, another member of the same fetish community, confirmed Dat worked as a fishmonger at Phang Con Market in Ha Dong, Hanoi, lived an extremely reclusive life, had almost no real-world friends, and had been missing since right after Tet 2025. No missing person report was ever filed because Dat's mother, his only known living relative, suffered from severe mental illness and had lost contact with her son as far back as 2020. Thus, less than 2 weeks after the videos first leaked, the Vietnamese online community had definitively identified the victim as Nguyen Xuan Dat, born March 10, 1989. The speed and accuracy stunned divers worldwide and marked the moment the hunt for Chung, the masked man in the Guy Fawkes mask, truly began. Discovery and investigation process. The OSINT phase, July-November 2025. From viral leak to crowdsourced dossier within hours, the #FianLastNature hashtag detonated across platforms. On X, formerly Twittered, posts from accounts like Hymathoid and Ho75 and Tapusius amplified warnings. This isn't staged, it's the first real snuff film for profit. Reddit's r/truecrime and r/Vietnam subreddits overflowed with threads. User O Physicaled Ebby 9515 dropping Google Drive links to blurred stills laced with malware alerts. Vietnamese communities on r/Vietnam Nation and r/Troquilantine dissected accents, pure northern dialect, and props la vie water bottles, generic Hanoi tiles. Speculating on a consensual cannibal fetish gone lethal. Korean and Chinese netizens joined via Baidu Tiba. Cross-posting Telegram leaks where full packs 11 videos 98 photos sold for 100 to 600 USD, hinting at a pre-July black market circulation since February. Vice's August 22 expose christened it the world's first verified snuff, defining the term as commercially motivated murder footage, distinct from amateur atrocities like Three Guys One Hammer. This digital wildfire birthed the OC&T phase, a frantic, decentralized probe that bypassed stonewalling authorities. On August 8, 2025, the Facebook group OC&T and Cyber Investigation Vietnam coalesced from burner accounts, swelling to 20,000 members by November. Operating in shadows to evade threats, they reverse-engineered DAT's identity within days. A pivotal Facebook status from January 25, 3 hours until execution, linked to dormant profiles like DAT beheading. On Motherless, a VPN-walled fetish haven where DAT chronicled his decapitation obsessions since 2019. I'm ugly, diseased, a prisoner of fate, let me be slain at ecstasy's peak and devoured. A cross-referencing leaked phone numbers from gay forums traced to Zalo and Thai bin registries. Confirmed by contacts like Feely, a fellow fetishist who revealed DAT's fishmonger gig at a Noise Fung Kong market and his post-tat vanishing. No missing persons report surfaced. DAT's mentally ill mother, Nguyen the Mian, had severed ties in 2020. The group mapped timelines. DAT's final online pings synced with the video's metadata, geotags pinpointing Hu Lung's rural fringes in Langsun province, near the Chinese border rife with smuggling lore. Enter K to Mo. The Curious own a YouTube channel that turbocharged sleuthing, launching its Kayanangayan Xuan series in September 2025. The creator, identity shrouded, dissected clips with 3D reconstructions overlaying the bathroom's blue-white tiles against Langsun government blueprints, facial composites from mirror selfies, a receding hairline, monolid eyes, eyebrow scar, that day 13:9 to 2. Early episodes, now delisted amid threats, drew millions of views. Premium parts behind Patreon-like walls unveiled whistleblower chats from the whistleblower. CWB, a near victim who dodged recruitment. WB's November leaks named Cam Than Chung, pinning meetups to Hu Lung tax offices. K2Mo, unblurred usernames like Thanchun 111 thread to Duan Sangles on X and a Facebook alias for Don Van Sang, a 60-ish retired market management department MMD deputy head. Patriarch of Lang Sun's influential Doan clan, with governmental ties via wife and son. Than Chung, born September 13, matching the Taffin. Visual forensics chilled birthmarks on Sang's bicep and shin mirrored the killer's. Adidas gear echoed his son's wardrobe. Office fans and cabinets in the rehearsal matched M&D Team 4's defunct HQ. Kitchen tiles in the butchering, aligned with 2022 inspection photos of Sang. A TikTok clip of Sang at work exposed identical backdrops. By late November, Sang's lurking in OC threads. Laughing emojis on dead-end posts turned taunting. I am the executioner. Who can catch me? I've lived 60 years, unafraid of death. His sons deleted, human meat lunch. Photo-fueled family conspiracy whispers, though evidence cleared the sun. The crescendo was the 88-page dossier, compiled by OCID Vietnam by late November 2025, a bilingual behemoth of screenshots and deleted news clippings. Sang's 2022 articles on exotic meat raids vanished post-leak. It chronicled Sang's digital descent, from 2000's gay flings to 2022 post-hawking, male anatomy slices, sourced from surgeries or donors, and 2020 chats luring Avia motherless. Proton Drive mirrors proliferated on Reddit. Erter Trochian Lintin warning of Sigor bots. With physical EBA 9515's full upload sparking Sino-Korean analyses, Baidu users tracing Telegram sellers to Ice Love. Dated 110-page iteration on December 1 added unredacted videos, WB's full logs, and Sang's device pings Oppo Reno 12 tying to DAT SIM. X buzzed with Fan Nguyen Xuandat and Fate 8A Trang, Clippy Gore peddled full clips via Telegram, blending sleuthing with sleaze. This phase raw and risky amassed circumstantial synonymous timelines, visuals, psych profiles. Yet perils loomed. Death threats silenced. K2Mo. Mid-reveal. Forces too powerful swallow our team. Doxing waves hit OC&T mods, and malware-riddled links harvested data from curious clicks. Ethically fraught, it blurred journalism and vigilantism, raising questions. Did crowdsourcing justice hasten closure, or sensationalize suffering? The official phase in November, December 2025 from indictment to confession. As the dossier viral, hitting 100,000 downloads by November 27, the state's gears ground into motion, transitioning from cyber whispers to handcuffs. On November 27, Hung Yen police verified DAT's identity after OSIN relayed Mean's reluctant information her son, estranged since 2020, matched the video's face and vanished post-tet. This pierced the silence. Prior inaction stemmed from jurisdictional silos, Hanoi roots, Lang Son crime, and image polishing fears. Vietnam's safe narrative clashed with gore exports. November 28 marked the pivot. Lang Son police indicted under Article 123's murder, sealing Team 4 as the scene. Forensics unearthed grim relics, 3 human teeth under the sink, bone shards in septic tanks and drains, corroborating the boiler cleanup, suit or prevention, ruse. A December 1 house raid seized Dat's phones in Sang's sister's possession, matching jackets, and the space heater from the execution. November 29 brought the arrest. Sang, nabbed at home, approved by the People's Procuracy. The December 3 Ministry of Public Security briefing in Lang Son, framed as cyber-vigilance fruits, confirmed the narrative. Sourced from network monitoring nailed Sang, crediting OSIMT obliquely while downplaying leaks. Sang's confession, released piecemeal, painted a twisted tableau. 2020 Facebook meet cute with Dat, ensnared by motherless invites. Dat's 10 million VNDs, approximately $400 venue rental. January 25 dusk execution in the deserted TED office. Sang volunteer, cleavers supplied by victim. Post-mortem boiling flesh, bone crushing, dog feedings, 10 trash bag disposals along QLNA. Cleavers ditched in a handcart. He resumed work unfazed, even monitoring OSINT for thrills. Skeptics decried the duped elder. Spin, decades-long posts scream predator, not pawn, prompting psychiatric probes for paraphilic disorders. The probe ballooned. Telegram dark web trails eyed Chinese distributors, sellers 89 yuan entry, 10K users, executions galore. Cross-checked against 2020 chats for prior victims. No accomplices surfaced, but Beidou leaks hinted at regional syndicates peddling forensic bodies or organ curries. By December 8, Sesson faced life or death penalties. Article 123 Max, trial slated for Q1 2026. OCD's dossier, now 106 pages, evolved into evidentiary through authorities cautioned against dissemination. This odyssey from July's leak to December's cuffs exemplifies OCD's triumphant pitfalls. K. Mao. And OCNT unearthing Sang's facade, a bureaucratic pillar moonlighting as a cannibal curator, faster than forensics. Their dossiers, blending AI geocode with human intuition, pressured a reactive state, echoing global precedents like the Boston Marathon OCN hunts. Yet shadows linger. WB's narrow escape hints at recruitment pipelines, Telegram's opacity shields sellers, potentially East Asian cartels blending gore with organ trades. Sang's consent, defense, or suicidal pact, challenges euthanasia taboos, but Vietnamese law brooks no mercy killings, amplifying debates on fetish autonomy versus predatory grooming. Ethically, the probe's virality retraumatized HFC gore spam preyed on voyeurs, PTSD reports spiked on WPD. Legally, disseminating the 88 pages risks obscenity charges, blurring whistleblowing and exploitation. As of December 8, 2025, with Sang in chains and probes probing dark webs, the case indicts more than one man. It spotlights how consent curdles in echo chambers, and how fragile firewalls guard our collective psyche. In Vietnam's wired sprawl, this wasn't just detection, it was a mirror to the abyss, where curiosity kills more than cats. Perverted psychology. Nguyen Xuan Dat is one of fewer than 7 publicly documented cases worldwide of autoscinephilia, an extremely rare palea in which an individual can only reach peak sexual arousal by imagining, or actually being, killed by another person. Between 2019 and 2025, on various dark web forums, Dat repeatedly stated that he could only climax only if his head was severed at the exact moment of ejaculation, while describing himself as ugly, riddled with disease, living off his parents, unworthy of existence. This was far beyond ordinary BDSM fantasy. It was a lethal fusion of severe, decade-long depression, suicidal back to at least 2014, extreme self-loathing, body dysmorphia combined with genuine chronic illnesses, and a sexual response that was entirely conditional on the presence of lethal violence against himself. Although public information about his family is limited, what is known points to family circumstances, playing a decisive role in both creating and deepening these distortions. His father had died the exact date unknown, but before Dat moved to Hanoi to work as a fishmonger. His mother suffered from severe mental illness. When Hung Yen police contacted her in November 2025 to confirm her son's disappearance, she showed no awareness that he had been missing for over 10 years. No siblings or close relatives are mentioned in household registry records or interviews with online contacts. The result was that Dat grew up and lived in a state of near total emotional abandonment. There was no mature family member to confide in, to seek help from, or even to notice that he was sliding into depression and suicidal ideation. Confirmed major risk factors: complete real-world social isolations, no offline friends, all interaction online. Untreated depression for more than 10 years, no money, no insurance, no one to take him for help. Early and extremely deep exposure to extreme gore and cannibalism content on motherless and private groups. A warped escape fantasy mechanism instead of conventional suicide. Dat transformed pain into erotic pleasure, eventually believing that being killed and eaten was the only way to give his life meaning. The most dangerous aspect to Pete was fully consenting, lucid, and had planned the act for years, even bringing his own cleavers and paying to rent the location. Yet he never realized that the person who agreed to help him, Don Van Sang, was not a mere executor of his fantasy, but a predator who had harbored active cannibalistic urges for 2 decades. Prevention and definitive solutions: early detection of depression and suicidal ideation. Anyone posting, "I want to die," repeatedly for 6 months must trigger alerts from family. Strict blocking and monitoring of extreme paraphilia communities, smotherless. Telegram groups such as Likes Beheading and Cannibal Cafe. Sexuality and mental health education starting in high school, with specific focus on the limits of consent in fetish contexts. Mandatory treatment for diagnosed autosassinophilia, high-dose SSRIs, CBT. Exposure and response prevention ERP, and complete isolation from gore forums for at least 12 to 24 months. Build early intervention networks at both family and online community levels. Only when families, communities, and the state act together can tragedies like that of Nguyen Xuan Dat be prevented. A person who voluntarily seeks death does not give society permission to let him die, especially when, for far too long, he had no hand left to hold on to. Don Van Sang is the quintessential example of a sadistic sexual predator who hid perfectly behind a respectable, stable, and prestigious social facade. Unlike Nguyen Xuan Dat, Saung's psychological deviance did not stem from depression or abandonment. It arose from an absolute need for control, combined with the pleasure of inflicting prolonged suffering, sadism, that had been carefully nurtured and shielded for over 20 years. The factors that shaped Sang's deviant preferences can be summarized in 3 distinct layers. First, layers of occupational and social power. As deputy head of market management team, No. 4 in Lang Son and later head of the Don Clan liaison boards, representing thousands of family members, Sang grew accustomed to inspecting, confiscating, and punishing others. That small but unchecked local authority gave him a permanent sense of superiority. Criminological research repeatedly shows that when an individual holds unsupervised power for decades, administrative authority easily morphs into sexual power, using one's position to threaten, manipulate, and ultimately inflict physical harm. Second, a layer of gradually escalating paraphilic development. From the early 2000s, Sun used anonymous accounts on Vietnamese gay forums to seek slaves in master-slave dynamics. Between 2010 and 2020, the content shifted to humiliation, torture, and cutting fantasies. From 2022 onward, he began posting real corpse photos, initially sourced elsewhere, openly soliciting severed male genitals, believed to come from gender reassignment surgeries or willing sellers, and directly recruiting victims who genuinely want to be killed. This is the classic paraphilic progression model: fantasy, images, purchasing body parts, and real-life enactment. Terrifyingly, this entire escalation occurred while he maintained the public image of an exemplary civil servant, devoted husband, and model father. Last, layer of dual motivation. Sexual gratification and profit. Unlike most sexual homicide offenders who act solely for lust, Sang also had a clear financial motive. The package of 11 videos and 98 photographs was sold for $100 to $600 starting in February 2025 on Chinese-language telegrams and dark web markets. He did not merely want to own another person's life, he wanted to monetize their death, turning the victim into a commodity. The combination of sadism with a mercantile mindset is extraordinarily rare and extraordinarily dangerous because it creates an ongoing incentive to acquire new victims. Every detail was calculated to minimize risk. The murder weapons, cleavers, were brought by the victim himself, and the crime scene was an empty government office during the Tet holiday. His methods of concealment were highly sophisticated. In the final weeks before arrest, his personal Facebook still posted photos from temple visits, Buddhist quotes, and messages about living virtuously. Colleagues and local residents described him as gentle, cheerful, and always ready to help. This is the classic mask of sanity described in forensic psychology. An intelligent sexual killer who knows exactly how to play the perfect role so that no one suspects. Unsupervised power, even at the lowest level, is fertile ground for sadism. Strict oversight mechanisms are needed for grassroots officials, especially those in inspection and enforcement roles. Paraphilias do not suddenly erupt at age 60, they always escalate gradually. The fact that platforms such as Motherless and certain Telegram groups remain accessible in Vietnam has given predators like Sang a safe space to level up, undetected. Never trust a religious or moral facade alone. Many prolific serial killers, Dennis Rader, Ted Bundy, etc., used devout imagery as camouflage. Regular psychological screening should be mandatory for anyone holding long-term petty authority, market management officers, ward police, security guards. A short paraphilia questionnaire can detect sadistic tendencies early. Community education must teach both children and adults that a friendly adult with a title does not automatically equal safe. Many of Sang's potential victims were lured precisely because they trusted the kindly, uncle civil servant. In short, Don Van Sang did not suddenly turn into a monster. He is the product of unchecked petty power, toxic internet spaces, and flawless social acting. Only by simultaneously cutting off the supply of extreme paraphilic content, supervising minor authority figures, and teaching the next generation to recognize masks can we ensure that cannibal civil servants no longer have room to exist. The Vietnamese butcher case, January to December 2025, was not merely a murder. It was the first incident in Vietnam that came closest to the definition of a commercial snuff film, a real killing professionally filmed and widely sold for profit. Within months, the hashtags #FinVietnamese Butcher and Phan88 Trang reached hundreds of millions of impressions on TikTok, Facebook, and X, plunging the entire country into prolonged panic and anxiety. Many young people reported nightmares, insomnia, and a pervasive fear that someone is stalking me online. Zalo school and university groups were flooded with rumors about retired officials who hunt people. The psychological fallout lingered into late 2025, with calls to the National Suicide Prevention Hotline 1800 Whitfee 67 rising 40% in Q4. The case exposed two fatal gaps in contemporary Vietnamese society. Platforms such as Motherless, Telegram channels, and the dark web remain completely unblocked, serving as breeding grounds for both assassinophilias victims and sadistic predators perpetrators. Mental health support is virtually non-existent for the poor, rural residents, and families with mentally ill members, leaving people like Nguyen Xuan Dat with no escape route except death. Clear warnings for the public: stay far away from any chat group containing keywords such as beheading, snuff, real death, cannibal, or extreme master slave, even if joined just for fun or curiosity. Family members must pay special attention to reclusive children or relatives who are heavily online and have no real-life friends. They are the highest risk group. Although Don Van Sang has been arrested and the criminal chapter is closed, the collective fear remains. Only when the state completely blocks these toxic platforms and builds a free, grassroots-level mental health safety net will the next Minh Chan Dat have a real chance of being saved before voluntarily walking into the slaughterhouse. The Vietnamese butcher case of 2025 is not a new phenomenon. It is merely the third alarm bell in a dark series of consensual homicides involving cannibalism or death-related sexual gratification that has horrified the world for over 2 decades. The two closest international precedents emerged the moment the internet became mature enough to turn the blackest fantasies into reality. In 2001 Germany, computer engineer Armin Mies posted an advertisement on the Cannibal Cafe forum seeking a young, well-built man who wants to be eaten. Bernd Brandes volunteered, traveled to Maewa's house, and together they severed and fried Brandes' penis while he was still alive. Maewa's then killed him, filmed everything in detail, and stored the flesh in his freezer for months. Maewa's was only caught when he posted another ad looking for a second victim. Between 1996 and 2000 in the United States, Sharon Lopaka, a married woman with children, spent 4 years exchanging thousands of emails with Bobby Glass, meticulously planning to be strangled to death during sex. She drove hundreds of kilometers to Glass's trailer in North Carolina. He carried out the act exactly as scripted and buried her in his backyard. The crime was only discovered when her husband reported her missing. Despite being separated by nearly a quarter century, 2001, 2000, 2025, the 3 cases follow the same chilling pattern. The victims all suffered from autoassassinophilias or extreme paraphilia, actively seeking someone to kill them rather than committing suicide alone. The perpetrators were outwardly unremarkable middle-aged men: a computer engineer, a programmer, and a retired civil servant. All three crimes were openly planned for years on the internet's Cannibal Cafe, AOL emails, Motherless, and Telegram, yet no authority intervened in time. All involved filming and either preserving or distributing images of the death. This repetition proves a terrifying truth. As long as toxic corners of the internet remain free and mental health continues to be neglected, these willing human feast. Horrors will keep resurfacing. Only the country, language, sale price of the video, and camera resolution will change. The Nguyen Xuan Dat and Don Van Sang case is not the end. It is a warning that unless we dismantle real death fantasy communities today, countless 2030 and 2035 editions are already quietly growing in the shadows of Telegram and the dark web. Unclear questions. The Vietnamese butcher case, also known as the murder of Nguyen Xuan Dat by Don Van Sang, closed its initial investigations in early December 2025, with Lang Son Provincial Police initiating prosecution and temporarily detaining the main suspect. However, despite Sang's confession and some seized evidence, the case still left a series of information gaps, stirring up heated debate on social media and international forums. From the nearly year-long silence of the authorities to the vague details of the body disposal and video distribution network, the case is not only a personal tragedy, but also exposes systemic loopholes in cyber surveillance and mental health support in Vietnam. These questions, which have been continuously dissected by the OCNTS open source intelligence community and international public opinion such as Reddit True Crime, Rao Vietnam and X Twitter, are turning the case into a black hole of debate where the truth is obscured by censorship and lack of transparency. Below is a detailed analysis of the unclear issues, based on the 88 10-page document from the Vietnam OCNT team, the official report of the Ministry of Public Security, December 3, 2025, and online discussions up to December 8, 2025. One of the biggest questions, causing public outrage, is why the case occurred on January 25, 2025, but was only officially announced on November 28, 2025, nearly 10 months later. According to the announcement of the Ministry of Public Security, the discovery of the case originated from grasping the cyberspace situation after the video leaked on Watch People DWD and Telegram on July 26, 2025. However, OC documents show signs of being made public earlier. Dat's Facebook status on January 25, 2025, 3 hours to execution. His last activity on Motherless, and messages from Dat's account. Dat has been beheaded, sent to friends in February 2025. Why was there no missing person report from family or friends? Dat's mother, Nguyen Mien, is severely mentally ill and has been out of contact since 2020, but contacts like Phi Lise, a fetish friend, knew that Dat disappeared after Tet, without reporting to the police. The controversy revolves around two main hypotheses. First, the cover-up is due to the suspect's position. Sang is a party member, former deputy captain of market management team No. 4 Lang Son, a position with local power, related to border goods inspection near China. Ting Dan newspaper, December 1, 2025, pointed out that no mainstream newspaper mentioned Sang's name before the arrest, although the information was widely spread on Facebook and Reddit. Many netizens suspect that Sang used his connections to suppress the case, similar to previous cadre scandals. On R Vietnam, posted 11/28/2025, user Phantom Thief Kid commented, "The government covered up to protect the image of Social Security, but OCNT forced them to act." Second, lack of network monitoring capacity. Vietnam has a 2018 cyber security law, but platforms like Telegram and the dark web still slip through the net. Podcast Obscura, Atenig Tour 8 2025 noted that the case was not officially confirmed until November 2025, suggesting that the authorities responded after pressure from the 88-page viral dossier, hundreds of thousands of downloads on Proton Drive. This silence not only delayed justice, but also allowed the video to spread, causing panic. The number of calls to the hotline 18,015 60% in the fourth quarter of 2025, according to an unofficial report from OCMT. Debate: is this protecting the victim or protecting the system? Without OCMT, the case would probably still be buried. The video, the execution, and the 11 video and 98 photo package were sold from February 2025 on Telegram, priced at $100 to $600 USD, and the dark web, mainly in Chinese via Baidu Tieba. Sang's testimony, December 3, 2025, admitted to filming it to satisfy his lust, but did not mention who distributed it. Vice, August 22, 2025, called it the first authentic snuff film. But OOC suspected Sang was just a small link In the East Asian network, leaked messages from the Chinese sellers. 89 joins a regular group. 198 yuan joins a large group. Tens of thousands of users. Dumping corpses. Execution at Bob suggested these love group specializes in necrophilia and forensic. Selling clean corpses. Core suspicion did Sang have accomplices? The 110-page dossier December Fun 2025 shows that Sang used the account, then Chun Wonderyunalen1, linked to Do Onsangles on X. But the WB chat whistleblower mentioned the group in Hu Lung. On our True Crime discussion, December 6, 2025, user O Snoo 5 Fear Arklier Sang sold directly or shared with border partners. Similar cases on Beidou, dismembering Asian men, show a large syndicate. The police are expanding the investigation into the video selling ring, announcement December 3, but have not arrested anyone yet. Controversy: if there is an organization, why not trace crypto or IP? Many people suspect that the Langsun border where Sang works is a gateway for organ trafficking gore videos related to China-Vietnam smuggling. If true, the case is not an individual but the tip of the iceberg of Southeast Asia's black market snuff. As Wagner Group shares war crimes on Wikipedia, December 5, 2025. Sang confessed after beheading, boiled the meat to prevent rotting, broke the bones, fed some of it to the dog, and threw away 10 plastic bags along Highway 1A and the Hulong trash bin. Evidence: 3 human teeth under the sink, bone fragments in the septic tank, and Team 4 kitchen drain. But most of the body, estimated to weigh 50 to 60 kg, has not been found, despite using a septic tank truck and sniffer dogs since December 4, 2025. Suspicion: did they really eat meat? Desir OCNT has cooked with goji berry soap and human curry. But Sang denied it, calling it a fake leak. On YouTube, Ktomo, December 6, 2025, analysis shows that the butchering has a scene of stuffing organs into the victim's mouth, suggesting real cannibalism. Controversy: did Sang destroy everything or keep some? Reddit RRBI's November 27, 2025 speculated. The body was thrown at the border, and animals ate it all because of the quiet Tet holiday. If there was any eating, the motive was not only lust but also testing for the video to sell. The police have not released the full DNA, leading to the rumor that Dat's body was turned into fertilizer. From the Sang WB chat. This raised concerns about food safety at the border, where Sang used to check goods. The Vietnam OSINT Group, founded 88-2025 and U2 Mo, get the first credit. The 88-page dossier, Several 8/11/2025, matches 90% with the official report. But why did the police recognize indirect OSINTs, knowing the situation on the network, instead of praising it? On Rs Vietnam's was 325 Tovarish Rosavi accused. Social media is manipulated by the government to control the narrative. Suspicion: did OSINT leak sensitive information? The dossier contained personal chats, private photos, leading to doxing and threats. Key to Mo stopped the video because the force was too strong. Controversy: is OSINT hero or a vigilante? Podcast Obscura, 10/27/2025 warned. The viral dossier causes PTSD, but forces the police to act. Police warn that sharing of dossiers violates Article 326, disseminating obscenity, but do not prosecute OSINT, suggesting a secret agreement. Dossier lists at least 2 people who were almost victims, WB and Ho Troy. Sang chat recruited, slaughter service, from 2022. Suspicion: there were victims before Dat. Beidou Tiba has a video of cutting up Asian men from 2024. On NameWiki, December 7, 2025, speculation is that Sang is related to the Cambodian group, due to the northern accent. Police checked other victims from the 2020 chat, but have not announced it yet. Controversy: is this the first case or the tip of the iceberg? Vice August 22, 2025 linked to East Asia snuff, suggesting a large syndicate. If so, why not expand internationally? Dat volunteered. Paid 10 million VND to rent the location, brought a knife, but Vietnamese laws Article 123 does not recognize consensual murder. Sang was prosecuted for murder, a death penalty, but controversy: will the sentence be reduced if it is proven being seduced? Sang's testimony, Dad invited to motherless, was rejected by OSIN because Sang's post history showed sadism from the 2000s. Honor True Crime, December 6, 2025, consent does not absolve, but does Sang's mental illness paraphilia have an impact? Controversy: will the QOR 2026 trial define sexual euthanasia? If the death penalty is applied, is it fair to voluntary victims? The case that caused prolonged anxiety to Vietnamese butcher reached millions of views, and PTSD spread. Doubts: why wasn't motherless blocked sooner? Did the cybersecurity law fail? On Facebook's Autofong 2025 warning, parents need to monitor their children. Controversy: is this case a warning or a censorship tool? These doubts not only make the case half-hearted, but also reflect Vietnamese society in 2025. Social media is a double-edged sword. Only when there is full transparency from the body to the network will justice truly come to an end. As of December 8, 2025, the controversy is still simmering, awaiting the trial. Recommendations and conclusions. The Vietnamese butcher case, the tragedy that led to the death of Nguyen Xuan Dat at the hands of Don January 25, 2025, has entered the official legal phase since the end of November 2025, with the prosecution and temporary detention of the suspect. However, the journey from here to the final verdict is expected to last at least 6 to 12 months, in compliance with the 2015 Criminal Procedure Code, amended in 2021. Based on Sang's initial testimony, the seized evidence of 3 human teeth, bone fragments, the victim's phone, and the 110-page OSUN document, the case was prosecuted under Article 23 of the 2015 Criminal Code, amended in 2017 for the crime of murder. With a penalty ranging from 12 years in prison to the death penalty, there is no consensual element recognized by Vietnamese law to reduce criminal liability, because murder is still murder, regardless of whether the victim is willing, a principle clearly stated in Article 123, which does not make exceptions for sexual euthanasia or assisted suicide. The first instance trial is scheduled to take place in the Tater of 2026 at the People's Court of Lang Son Province, and may be extended to the second quarter if there is an appeal. At the same time, recommendations from the OSNT community, psychologists and international public opinion emphasize the need for systemic reform, from network surveillance to psychiatric support, to prevent similar tragedies. Ultimately, the case is not just the story of a murderer, but also a reminder of the darkness of the digital society, where personal desires can turn into commercialized crimes. The following analysis, based on the Penal Code, Law 100/2050 QH 130, and relevant legal sources up to December 8, 2025, will clarify the expected legal journey, specific recommendations, and overall conclusions. Expected legal journey. From additional investigation to final verdict, the current phase December 2025 is a supplementary investigation, according to Article 172 of the Criminal Procedure Code, lasting a maximum of 4 months from November 28, 2025's initiation of the case. Lang Son Provincial Police, in coordination with the Public Security, are expanding Sang's psychiatric assessment to determine whether there is reduced responsibility due to sexual disorder, paraphilia sadistic. According to Article 21 of the Criminal Code, IO2 tracing the video distribution network on Telegram dark web, possibly adding the crime of disseminating obscene materials. So Article 3026-63, searching for the remaining body with sniffer dogs and tank trucks in Hulong to supplement evidence of cannibalism, if any. Sang's statement December 3, 2025 admitted the entire murder process but denied eating meat, calling the photo of the goji berry sweet soup fake. This will be verified by DA on Team 4 kitchen evidence. If the victim is discovered before DAT from the 2020 chat, the case can be split into several branches, according to Article 152. Next, in February to March 2026, the People's Procuracy of Lang Son Province will prosecute, according to the main indictment being Article 123, Paragraph 1's murder of a hooligan or barbaric nature, with a sentence of 12 to 20 years in prison, or Paragraph 2 especially serious up to the death penalty, if proving dual motive lust and profit from selling videos. There is no consent defense. Vietnamese law does not recognize voluntary murder, unlike some countries such as the Netherlands that allow medical euthanasia. The defense attorney may argue that Sang was seduced by Dat, according to testimony, but Sang rejects this through post to history of from 2000s, demonstrating active sadism. The first instance trials April-June 2026 will be partially open, according to Article 25. With OSNT representatives and Dat's family, although Ms. Mian is incompetent as witnesses. The court will consider mitigating circumstances. Sang is 60 years old, confessed and aggravating circumstances, abusive position, filming for distribution. If Sang appeals, the appeal at the High People's Court of Ho Chi Minh City, Q30 2026, may last another 2 months. Final verdict: death penalty, high probability because of barbarism and commercialization, but can be reduced to life imprisonment if the psychiatric examination proves loss of cognitive capacity. According to Article 40 of the Penal Code, the death penalty is carried out by lethal injection, but clemency can be granted by the president if there is progress, e.g., help in breaking up the ring. The whole process is expected to end in the fourth quarter of 2026, with litigation costs of about 500 million VND, paid by the state. The big debate: will the court hold a closed session to avoid spreading gore, or open it for transparency? Public opinion on ex-Sal Vietnamese butcher trial supports open, but the People's Procuracy can choose closed according to Article 25, Paragraph 3. The case not only demands personal justice, but also presents an opportunity for Vietnam to reform, based on the obvious loopholes: toxic internet, lack of mental health support, and weak power supervision. The recommendations below, compiled from OSN Vietnam, Tien Nguyen Nguyen Tremendous 2025, and international experts such as Vice, are divided into 3 levels. State and legal levels. Amend the 2018 cyber security law to completely block platforms such as Motherless, Telegram channels, likes beheading, and the dark web using AI to monitor keywords, real death, snuff service. Following the model of the EU's Digital Services Act, the Ministry of Information and Communications should cooperate with Interpol to track down Chinese sellers, as the case has cross-border elements. Add Article 123 of the Penal Code with a separate clause on sexual homicide. Increase the penalty if related to filming distribution, similar to Article 326. Establish a specialized unit for sexual cybercrime under the Ministry of Public Security, with a budget of 1 billion VND a year. Apply periodic psychological screening for grassroots officials like SANG, according to Article 21. Use paraphilia tests based on the DSM-5 model to detect sadism early. Community and education level: integrate mental health education into high school curriculum, with modules on limiting consent and fetish, and identifying online grooming in cooperation with the Ministry of Education and UNICEF, reaching 100% of schools by 2030. Build a network of intervention friends on Facebook, Zalo. Train moderators to detect wanting to die or looking for an executioner status, and immediately transfer to hotline 18,000 expanded 2047 free nationwide. Support single-parent families like Ms. Mian through a community mental health fund, with 500 billion VND from the social budget. Encourage legalization of OCD. Establish a network detective alliance under the Ministry of Public Security to support investigations without violating Article 326. Public warning: avoid extremist chat groups. Report real snuff content via the network security app. Users need a secure VPN but do not abuse the dark web. Support similar victims-free counseling for people with autosassinophilia through the Central Psychiatric Hospital, combining SRI and CBT, according to the WHO guidelines. These recommendations, if implemented, could reduce similar risks by 70%, according to OCDE's predictive model. The Vietnamese butcher case: an indelible stain on Vietnam's criminal history. In 2025, a story of personal desire turned into commercial horror, where Nguyen Xuan Dat, a victim of isolation and depression, willingly walked into the knife of Doan Van Sang, a predator hiding behind the mask of an official. The upcoming legal journey, with a trial scheduled for the first quarter of 2026 and a high possibility of execution, will bring superficial justice, but will not erase the pain nearly a year of silence from the authorities. Dat's body still scattered, and the Telegram network still selling new goods. This is not Vice's first snuff film, but a symptom of the digital society, where 20% of young Vietnamese people report depression, according to WHO 2024, but only 10% access support, where small powers like Sign can corrupt without being controlled. The larger conclusion: the case is a wake-up call. It is no coincidence that OSNT anonymous cyber detectives forced the state to act, proving that the power of the community is superior to the system. But real justice requires action: blocking the dark internet, building a mental safety net, and educating consent from the roots. Otherwise, the next DAT will continue to find their way to the voluntary slaughterhouse, and the Sang will continue to sell tickets. Sang's legal journey may end with a death sentence, but the journey of Vietnamese society from confusion in 2025 to safety in 2030 has only just begun. Let this tragedy be a torch to light the way, not a black hole to swallow more victims.